Hi, musitrature recaps here. Today I'm going to explain a movie called I Spit on Your Grave 2. Katie Carter is a delightful young woman who works as a waitress in the bustling streets of New York. Her aspirations soar beyond the diner's walls as she dreams of stepping into the world of fashion modeling. But when she meets with a representative from a major agency, reality hits hard. Her portfolio falls short, and the agent offers a solution: professional photos, but at a hefty cost Katie can't afford. The weight of disappointment hangs heavy as Katie heads home, crestfallen. However, fate has a surprise in store. A glimmer of hope appears on a bulletin board in the form of a free photo shoot ad. On her way back, she lends a hand to Jason, her neighbor, using her expertise in rodent hunting from her childhood on a Missouri farm. Prompted by curiosity, Katie responds to the ad, leading her to Ivan. She sends her photo, and in return, he shares an address. The following morning, Katie makes her way to the designated location, finding herself face to face with three brothers, Ivan, Georgie, and Nikolai. Dressed elegantly, she poses for the camera, but Ivan insists on more provocative shots. Katie firmly declines, exiting the situation. Soon, Georgie reaches out, apologizing for his brother's behavior and gifting her a flash drive with the supposed images. Claiming the photos were deleted, Georgie's words hold little truth, as he later indulges in admiring Katie's beauty captured on those very images. In the late hours, Katie steps out of her apartment to dispose of the trash, neglecting to lock the front door behind her. Upon returning, she secures the door, attends to her nighttime routine, and settles into bed. However, her peaceful slumber is abruptly shattered by the disconcerting clicks of a camera. Illuminating the room, she discovers Georgie standing before her. He had taken advantage of her momentary distraction during her departure. Startled, Katie demands that the uninvited intruder leave at once, but Georgie pays her pleas no heed, continuing to shower her with unwanted attention. Stricken with fear, Katie wields a stun gun to defend herself against Georgie's advances and races for the door. Unbolting the locks, she flees into the hallway. Yet, Georgie swiftly catches up, muffling her cries and forcibly dragging her back inside. Frantically resisting and attempting to scream for help, Katie's struggles only result in a harsh blow to her head against the floor. As her strength wanes, Georgie gags her and binds her with the cord from a lamp. Meanwhile, Jason, awakened by the commotion in the neighboring apartment, becomes concerned and ventures out to check on Katie. Unaware of Georgie's presence, he opens her door and stumbles upon the grim scene. With no inkling of the lurking danger, he rushes to Katie's aid. Tragically, Georgie seizes the opportunity, launching a brutal attack on the unsuspecting Jason, stabbing him repeatedly in the abdomen. Jason's life fades as Katie watches helplessly, his once kind-hearted nature slipping into eternal slumber. Georgie, driven by disturbing impulses, further ensnares Katie and subjects her to unspeakable torment. Powerless to resist, Katie's harrowing ordeal is witnessed by Jason's lifeless eyes. With his horrifying deed done, the disturbed Georgie finally realizes the gravity of his actions and contacts Ivan, his brother, to convey the grim news. The siblings soon arrive at the scene, confronted by a scene of horror beyond words. Ivan inspects Jason's lifeless body and attempts to erase any incriminating evidence, but his efforts reveal that his brother's biological traces remain within the girl's body. Understanding that concealing the crime is futile, he compels Katie to leave her fingerprints on the knife, then administers mind-altering substances to her. After some time, Katie regains consciousness and finds herself handcuffed to a grimy basement pipe. Nikolai approaches Katie, but his presence is interrupted by the entrance of Georgie, who forcefully pushes him away. Thirsty, Katie requests water, but Nikolai cruelly urinates on her, demeaning her as garbage rather than a human being. In an unexpected twist, Georgie, despite his unstable state, acts as a guardian of sorts for Katie, protecting her from his brother's hostile actions. Moments later, Ivan joins them in the basement, offering Katie more illicit substances. The brothers eventually depart, leaving Katie to struggle in vain to free herself and call for help. Katie awakens again as Ivan douses her with a bucket of cold water. He tosses her a washcloth and demands that she cleanse herself, as she is scheduled to meet a client they've sold her to. Resistant, Katie refuses to comply, prompting Ivan to once again administer mind-altering drugs. In this tense moment, Georgie provides solace to Katie, assisting her with her hygiene before leaving to retrieve an elegant dress for her upcoming encounter with Vako. After everyone departs, the captive spots a window facing the street. She triggers a gag reflex to rid her stomach of the illicit substances. A few minutes later, Georgie returns to the basement, finding the girl apparently asleep. He removes her handcuffs and dresses her in a stunning red gown. Unbeknownst to Georgie, Katie was feigning sleep and awaiting the opportune moment. Seizing the chance, she attacks him when he turns away to fetch her shoes, striking him with a metal bucket and rendering him unconscious. Through a small cellar window, she escapes onto the street, seeking help from passers-by. However, cars pass by and people avoid her, disregarding her pleas. Within moments, the police arrive, though they struggle to comprehend Katie's language. The detective arrives and discerns that Katie is American. He informs her that she's in Bulgaria and takes her to the police station. Meanwhile, Ivan descends to the basement, where he discovers Georgie injured and realizes that Katie has managed to flee, plunging them into dire straits. At the police station, Katie cannot recall how she ended up in a foreign land. She declines a medical examination, aware of the illicit substances in her system. She requests assistance from the American embassy, but the detective remains skeptical, suspecting her to be under the influence of mind-altering substances. Simultaneously, a kind and gentle woman named Anna enters the detective's office. She works at a rehabilitation center for abused women and takes Katie under her care. Collecting Katie from the police station, Anna assures her that she will escort her to the embassy. During the journey, Anna makes a phone call to make arrangements, ensuring Katie's safe passage home. She explains that the process takes time and that Katie will require money and clothing. Anna proposes that Katie come to her nearby residence, and Katie agrees. Upon arriving at Anna's home, Katie accompanies her to the basement and realizes she has walked into a trap, finding herself in the very room she had escaped from only hours ago. Anna spits in Katie's face and hands her over to Ivan, revealing that this trio consists of her sons. Heading to the main floor, Anna retrieves a ragdoll and cranks up loud music to drown out the sounds of Katie's suffering. Ivan subjects Katie to various forms of torment, taunting her and warning her that this is only the beginning, with worse pain in store. Before long, a wealthy middle-aged man named Vako enters the basement. Paying the brothers for their twisted entertainment with an American woman whom no one will miss, he brutally beats Katie with a stun gun. Afterwards, he dismisses the brothers and continues his sadistic mistreatment of Katie. Vako shoves the stun gun into her mouth, administering electric shocks. Once satisfied, Vako departs, leaving a battered Katie behind. As Vako leaves, Ivan descends to the basement, finding Katie covered in blood. He derides her, noting that she's no longer capable of resistance and has lost all shreds of pride. In an attempt to prove otherwise, Katie slaps Ivan. Enraged by her defiance, Ivan seeks revenge, subjecting the hapless woman to a severe and brutal beating, leaving her unrecognizable. Shortly thereafter, Katie regains consciousness, realizing that the brothers have dug a grave for her. They rip her dress, force the almost lifeless girl into a chest, and toss a stun gun and a cross-adorned chain inside. The brothers bury her alive, meticulously concealing any traces of their actions, and depart, attempting to erase the memory as if it were a distant dream. Amidst the horrifying situation, Katie prays for divine intervention, desperately hoping to evade such a horrific fate. Eventually, the chest plunges into a sewer tunnel, giving her a sliver of hope. As she comes to her senses again, she understands the urgent need to adapt and survive in the labyrinthine catacombs. Drawing sustenance from rainwater, scavenging for discarded garments, and resting on a worn mattress, Katie endures. Eventually, she discovers a lighter and, encountering an injured pigeon, resorts to cooking it over a fire to nourish herself and regain strength. Days pass, and Katie's ears catch the distant strains of church music. Guided by the sounds, she stumbles upon a basement passage that leads to a place of worship. The priest notices the aftermath of intrusion in the kitchen, recognizing someone has been there, stirring up chaos and pilfering food. In the days that follow, a church staff member crosses paths with Katie, affectionately calling her a little mouse. Fluent in English, he strives to piece together her story. Although Katie is reticent, she appreciatively accepts the provisions and clothing the priest has thoughtfully arranged. Returning to her underground refuge, Katie discovers a Bible among the items, and she delves into its contents, seeking solace and guidance in her trying circumstances. After some more time passes, Katie manages to recover from the ordeal she endured. Venturing out into the streets, her original intention is to head to the American embassy. However, she experiences a sudden change of heart, realizing that she can't leave without seeking revenge. She retraces her steps and encounters the priest once again. This time, she leaves an open Bible on a page containing the passage, "Vengeance is mine, and I will repay." Determined to carry out her plan, Katie sets her sights on Nicolet, one of her tormentors. When the opportune moment arrives, she spies on Nicolet and stealthily pilfers money from his family. Her surveillance continues into the evening, revealing the nightclub he frequents. With this knowledge in hand, Katie carefully places a cross into Georgie's coffee cup, then gradually leads him into the catacombs, using herself as bait. Employing a makeshift rodent trap, she incapacitates Georgie and secures him by binding him to the wall. Simultaneously, the priest engages with a detective, sharing the plight of the young American woman in need. The detective, recognizing the description, contacts the embassy to confirm her identity as Katie. Driven by a fierce desire for retribution, Katie firmly believes Georgie deserves every bit of punishment he receives. With a deep resolve, she inflicts multiple severe wounds on his body before smearing it with filth. That evening, Katie discreetly enters a nightclub, strategically placing a glass of alcohol mixed with illicit substances on Nicolet's table. Although he glimpses her presence, Nicolet dismisses it as hallucinations. Soon feeling ill, he hurries to the restroom, only to unexpectedly confront Katie. In this grim encounter, she subjects him to a relentless torrent of humiliation, exacting retribution for her suffering, ultimately forcing him into a toilet bowl filled with a repugnant mixture. Retreating to the subway, Katie later revisits Georgie, poisoning his festering wounds with a rusted metal bar as a final act of vengeance. The following morning, during a church service, Vako spots Katie and follows her to the basement. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Katie stuns him and secures him to a bed frame. Initiating her revenge, she taunts him by subjecting Vako's body to the electric shock of a stun gun. Subsequently, she inserts the sewer cable into his mouth and administers an electric current, causing him to suffer within as his life comes to an end. Continuing her mission, she revisits Georgie, capturing an image of his ravaged form. Upon returning home, Anna is greeted with chaos, a shattered doll and disarray. She hears music emanating from the basement and ventures down, only to be pushed into a pit by Katie. The captive Anna is confined within a box, forced to witness the agonizing torment of Georgie. Later, Ivan returns to the house and discovers the basement hole. Upon descending, he finds his brother in distress. But Katie takes control, stunning Ivan and securing him to a table. She releases Anna from the box, allowing her to observe Georgie's fate before Ivan's own impending demise. Troubled by Katie's actions, the priest seeks assistance from the detective and reveals the passage to the catacombs beneath the church's basement. Amid Ivan's cries for help, Katie inflicts severe pain, using pliers to tear off one of his nipples and a vice to crush his genitalia. The detective intervenes upon hearing Ivan's suffering, confronting Katie and demanding an end to her actions. In a final confrontation, Ivan lunges at Katie in an attempt to strangle her, prompting the detective to take his life. In the aftermath, the detective recognizes his mistake, expressing remorse as he releases Katie from her restraints. Opening the box, he encounters a mentally broken Anna. In the concluding scene, Katie visits the U.S. Embassy, embracing the hope of returning home and finding solace. The movie concludes here. Thank you for watching.